My name is RSMITH. Okay, we're going to do a speech on UXO awareness, unexploded ordnance. As you can see, we got a class here, all HSE specialists. First, let's talk about Kuwait. Okay, you notice on the pictures right here, these are different UXOs that are around the world. A few of them here in the Middle East, a couple in Asia. Okay, so what I want to talk about first is Kuwait history. Okay, understanding down here, the point to the south is where we're at building our project, the Al-Zor project. That location had a heavy amount of fighting going on during the invasion of Iraq to Kuwait, and then when the United States came in to counter it, or the coalitions came in to counter it. So all this area had heavy minefields, and a lot of ordnance was used there. And this is what we're finding today, 15, 16, 17 years later, we're still finding this stuff. Okay, one article by Landmine and Cluster Monitoring article in 2005, talks about the Gulf War and open and rough sandy desert areas. Okay, wet coastal mudflats. All of that was down here in the southern portion of Kuwait. Another article, environmental expert list, talks about companies that are currently still in Kuwait, years later, working on providing services, finding these UXOs. Some of these services that are provided are paid for by the government of Kuwait. Some are paid for by charities. Okay, so there's multiple ones here doing different things. All right. That being said, talk about safety of the UXOs. Now, you guys, as the HSE professionals on the site, you need to understand what your role is in this. Okay, your role is only to see it, identify it, and keep the area safe and walk away from it, not to touch it. Okay, discovering a suspected UXO, the finder should stop, not approach any closer. Note the location, approximate size, shape, and color. This is all information that you can provide to me. Okay, any distinguishing features such as nomenclature or the wiring, anything that makes it look something odd. A good example of this was Lijo, your brothers in arms there. He found an object, and first thing he did was call the hotline and got everybody away, made a perimeter. Okay? Now, what did he do wrong? Point out to you guys, he cleared some dirt around it with his hand to see what it was. He also went into putting a stake in the ground and making a flag so people could identify the location. I don't think it's appropriate to put a flag and start staking it with a hammer right next to a potential UXO, not knowing if there's any more in the area. Okay, so this was lessons learned that we passed on to everybody after that class, or after that event. Obviously, do not touch and move. I would suggest not using telephones or radios in the vicinity of it for a period of time until we understand what we're dealing with. Some devices are shot from a rocket, and they have a wire system. Okay, that wire system responds to different types of electronics. Okay, the closer you are to it, the more chance that your phone or radio could still ignite the system. Especially if it was a dead shot out, maybe a wire just broke off during the launch and it landed. Well, when it hit the ground, it might not explode, but that wire could still be touching. Okay, your signal could set it off. It's a small chance, but it does exist. Obviously, as safety representatives, we want you guys to warn everybody. Keep everybody away from the area. Okay? Call the QRC, Quick Response Center. Let them get the appropriate services out there. Myself, a couple other duty experts will come. We'll see what the device looks like. Okay? At 17 years in the Marine Corps, my job was ammunition explosive technician. Okay? If anything went boom, I was a walking book on it. All right? So it's kind of boring now not being able to touch all this stuff. So if you find something out there, call me and I'll get out there and check it out. So far we found 2 on this site, and we'll talk about those shortly. Note the location, we talked about that. Remain in the area as a guide. This is important. It's just like safety. You find it, you see it, you own it, right? Same thing here. You cannot leave until you hand this over to the next person. Okay? We need someone to always be there to make sure nobody walks up on it. Everybody's going to want to come up, take pictures and get close to it. Keep everybody away. Okay? I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And to be honest, it happens every year in Kuwait. Somebody here gets hurt, especially a lot of local nationals. Okay, riding their 4-wheelers out here in this desert, going over these things, kids picking it up and playing with it, throwing it. I mean, there's been numerous incidents over the years, and they've lost limbs, they've lost lives. So we obviously don't want to see anything like that happen on the project. Retreat the safest path, okay? You don't know what's around you. You don't know if you walked into an old minefield that's been uncovered, unearthed, okay? Especially in a construction site. Haran next to us, they've uncovered stuff by the dozens yearly, okay? And they've done a lot of digging. So much for us right now, we're not doing that, but we are going back and excavating, okay? Things that Van Oord's put dirt over top of, we're digging deeper than what Van Oord did. So there's still chances of us finding UXOs, okay? Obviously don't disturb. Okay, more information, okay, to understand what we're dealing with out there, ordnance explosives, obviously that's what it is, okay? It's a term, OE. Another term would be BIP, blow in place. If the MRI comes out, they're going to sit there and decide whether it's potentially hazardous to pick it up and move it. If it is, then they'll do a BIP. They'll blow it right there on the spot. That's what happened with our last UXO. They blew it, it took 3 explosions to get rid of it. Ordnance-related scrap. Uranium was used in a lot of ordnance that the United States dropped on Iraqi tanks, okay? So going up and standing next to a tank and taking a picture was actually a hazard because the whole thing was radioactive. All right, same thing for the shrapnel that's been blowing out from those tanks and from those different tank rounds, okay, arty rounds. A lot of that big chunks, they look really cool to pick up, kind of like a meteorite type piece of metal, but it's uranium. It's some kind of uranium reactive, so, or radioactive. So it's not good to be touching that, taking it home, put it in your house as a souvenir, paperweight for the table. See anything out there like that, don't touch it, call me. We'll come out and look at it. If it looks just like shrapnel, you know, there's different ways to pick it up and dispose of it without ever having to touch it with human skin. All right, frags. Again, piece of munition, metal, plastic, etc. These things are sharp, okay? These things can have explosive residue on them. A cut from it can cause a serious infection, okay? A minor cut from some of this residue can cause a serious infection. And honestly, the folks here probably won't even know how to handle the infection right away because they won't know what started it. Okay, so again, staying away from these things. But these guys that are down there digging with their hands, there's chances of them hitting shrapnel. I mean, you got to understand the area we were in right now, where we're standing right now, was a huge Iraq-American battle in this area. So, you know, understand there's a lot of ordnance that went down. UXO technician, these guys are one step above. These guys are the guys that go out and disarm the bombs you see on TV, the bomb squads, all right? So we will call those guys to come here if we need them. All right, different types of stuff you'll find. These are the most common ones. This is what we see a lot of in Kuwait. And to be honest, it's just from the troops. During the battle, things get lost, things get broken off, they get dropped, nighttime maneuvers, whatever. Small arms is the biggest thing you see. What you have to understand, what I want everybody to realize, is the colors. Okay, colors make a huge difference. So part of your description when you find something, the shape, the size, the color, all means different things to me. Okay, the smaller it is, the less obviously hazard it's going to be. The larger it is, more chance you can have an explosive in it. Okay, these larger rounds, these different colors, they mean different things inside. What's inside there? Okay, explosive tips. Illumination, just the fire starters. Some of them HE could explode, TNT rounds, okay? Different types of things. So shape, size, and color make a big difference. This is what it would look like if you find out there. These are grenades. Not every grenade goes off when you throw it, so obviously it's not something you want to pick up, because if it does explode, it's meant to take out an area of 3 to 10 feet around it, okay? So obviously not something you want to pick up. These are the old Russian grenades. Chinese made, Russian made, distinguished shape from American made. Okay, projectiles. Big common thing we see in Kuwait right here. Okay, didn't explode. That thing is full of HE, or it could be full of aluminum, it could be full of white phosphorus. Okay, white phosphorus, millions and millions of pieces of glass. Looks like smoke, and it just eats at the skin. Okay, and you know, when we'd have a round like that leaking, we just had to dump it in water to contain it. Water was the only way to stop it from leaking. So again, stuff like this can be dug up in Kuwait easily. Obviously this, if you look at this, this is from, you know, already been unearthed. So this is what we found just recently. Okay, this is an actual mortar, okay? But right here on the tip, That's a mortar fuse called point detonated. They actually have a small bit of explosive in them, okay? When they hit, they explode inside, sends a charge through the mortar, which makes the whole mortar explode. It's a secondary, okay? So what we found was just this piece right here, all right? That was found out there in Amadea on one of the new roads, okay? Most likely it didn't come from our site. I think it came from the dirt that they brought in and was brought unearthed by the grader as the grader was pushing out the dirt, okay? But still, old, unpredictable, and had a small amount of explosive. If it went off, it could have took off your hand or arm, okay? And remember, it took 3 explosions with C4 to dispose of that small piece of device. 3 from MIR. So here's some more stuff that we find out there. These are different rockets. Now this is just the tube that it's fired from. That's a tow missile, okay? These are things that they shoot at tanks, moving vehicles, but still, when they hit, they don't always go off, and they land on the ground, okay? And eventually get covered over by sandstorms, and then guys like us come in to build cool refineries, and we unearth them, okay? Okay, another rounds. These are actually missiles that are fired. Now you can always tell a missile. It's going to have some kind of fins on it, guys, okay? Artillery, just a big looking bullet. Rockets, missiles going to have fins. These are the things you really don't want to use telephones and radios around, because these are things that are electronically fired from a device, okay? And that signal could still, from your phone or radio, could still ignite the unexploded ordnance. Here's the big boys. These are really easy to see. These are the bombs, okay? Usually from the Air Force, they're dropped high from the sky, big planes, B-52s, stealth bombers, all right? Usually don't even see the airplanes that drop these things. Now what's funny is when one of these doesn't go off, I've actually watched one not explode and just bounce. And it bounced for about 2 miles before it stopped. It just bounced out of our sight. But it's a hell of a thing to watch come down and then boom, 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 just kind of like skipping a rock across the water. Okay, you've ever seen a rock skip? You know, same thing. And it just bounced out of sight. And, you know, didn't want to be in front of it, so it's a good thing. But they do find them. There's quite a few of them around. So, got to be on the lookout. You can't really tell in this picture, but this is in Kuwait. And these are all grenades that are dropped out of rockets. Okay, one rocket fires, it explodes at a certain elevation, and when it explodes, it launches out hundreds of these small little grenades. All right, and they're made to explode over top of large groups of people or equipment, and right over top their head and take them out. Now the thing about it is they don't always go off, but that doesn't mean that some of them aren't live. Okay, so you know that's a whole nest of them right there, and obviously the cleanup on that's going to take some time. Okay, more different types. These are landmines. That's a small grenade. These landmines here, they're all pressured. Okay, they've been buried. For whatever reason, okay, the Iraqis were well known to put out minefields. That was their countermeasure. And it doesn't take much to set off the pressure point on these things. And I got some different pictures here to show you. These are flares. These are more fire starters, not so much explosive. These are the kind of things you see us pop up at night, lights up the sky, different colors, okay, different types of smokes during the day. But they're more fire starters, but still dangerous. You can really get seriously burned from them. All right, again, QRC, you already know the hotline number. Okay, QRC is a new term. It's going to be spoken of more and more and more and more. Start getting used to it. It's going to be in your emergency procedures from here forward. Okay, Quick Response Center. That's going to be your hub for everything that happens out there for you guys to call. Okay, going to keep the hotline number. Number's not going to change, but QRC is going to be a tool to help you. Okay, they're going to be a little bit more efficient on getting emergency services to you guys of whatever type is needed. Okay, again, we talked about size, length, width, color, features, times found. This is all information that we need for your report. Okay, so once something happens, start taking notes. Who told you? Who found it? Where? Get all the information you can. You know, you guys all have notepads. You're running them out there for your incidents, just like a safety incident. Keep track of this information. This is all stuff that we got to track and we got to do a report for. So, very important. All right, here we go. This is the current stuff. Okay, UXO is reported on the Alzor. This was found last week, or last month, December 22nd. Okay, look at the shape of it. Now, when I seen that, I knew exactly what it was. To you guys, it looks like it's something, but you're not really sure what it is. So I put a really good picture here so you can compare it. So you see new, and you see old. But look at it. I mean, with experience, you can tell right away that that's some kind of device. What is it? We don't know. I would rather you call me 100 times a day to come look at things, and then rather you not call me. All right? I have no problem going out there 100 times a day and looking at these things and deciding if it's good or bad. Okay? And that's how we do it. That's what we have to do it. So anything potentially comes up, just call me. I'll come out right away and make a decision. Right? This one I was like 100% sure. So, but again, I don't think it came from our site. I think it was unearthed from the dirt that they brought in for the road. Okay? This one Lidjo found. This was out there right by Amadia's office. This is all new offices now, right? Okay? Check that out. They're sitting right there. Okay? These are what they look like. Okay, I wanted you to see a comparison. It's an anti-personnel landmine. Very small. There's different sizes. There's a big one and there's a small one. The big ones I would call anti-tank round. Tank mine. Okay? But the small one's for people. When it goes in the ground, you just dig out a little hole, you drop it in there, you cover around it, and it's got a little pressure point. As soon as you step on it, as soon as you release, that's the igniter. And when it blows up in a 360 direction, and it blows on an angle. It doesn't blow straight up, it doesn't blow this way. It blows on an angle, so you kind of end up with a cone explosion. You know why it does that? Okay, because it's going to take out whatever's in front of it or on top of it, and it's going to take out as much as it can around it. Okay? And they send out small little BBs. There's different types. Some of them just send out small pieces of lead in different directions, different shapes, but usually a BB system. Okay? Ball bearing type things. And they just go out in a cone. And they come from hitting from the ground, through the legs, up through the body, heading up to the top of the torso. Again, Lidjo found it. We were pretty sure it was a landmine. However, the MOI did not blow it. They picked it up and they removed it from site without giving us any information. But again, look at it closely. Okay? With my experience, I knew right away what I was looking at. But I wanted you to see a comparison here of what we found on site. Okay, this was found on site. You ask yourself, how can it be found on site? If the company that KMPC hired to come out here and do a complete geoanalysis x-ray system of the site. Well, it's very easy. If these things were buried, they work their way to the top. Sand shifts. Do not think we have a clean site because someone says it's clean. Sand shifts. And it just keeps working its way to the top. You ever heard of the saying, you bury a tire, 10 years the tire's going to be back to the top. It's what it does. It just shifts. It keeps working its way up. So this could have been something that's worked its way to the top, or the geoanalysis wasn't 100% correct. Okay? But this is what Flora's worried about. This is why you guys are out there to assist in receiving information that comes about. Okay? All right.